Hello, hello, hello. Can I get everybody's attention? Um, we're gonna start doing some speeches here really shortly. So if anyway, you can just find a spot, grab a bite. We're gonna do. First of all, thank you very much for everyone for coming. It's really great to see all these faces. Uh, Mom would love to be here, but she couldn't make it. So, uh, anyways, we're going to do an open mic. So anyone who's got a story, doesn't matter if you do it really well or not at all. If the mic's available, come on up. I'd love to hear what you got to say. So, um, I'll get things started here. Um, what to say about Mom? She's pretty good. She's pretty good mom. Yeah, not bad. No complaints. Not really. Maybe a few complaints. But I'll keep it to myself. Well, I'll share one complaint, just one. Um, when I was a teenager, I was very hard to wake up in the morning to go for school, like most teenagers are. And this was, mom would wake me up, I'd go back to bed, wake me up, and go back to bed. And this was very annoying for her. And the uh, the method that she adopted, which was really quite effective, was that she would wake me up just once in a loving way. And I would have to acknowledge, could be just a grunt or something, but as long as I acknowledged, then the ground rules were laid. Then she would go downstairs, set a timer for 5 minutes. She'd make sure that timer was really quiet, so when it went off, she could hear it, but I couldn't. Timer goes off. She would very quietly, stealthily, sneak up the stairs with a water gun in her hand. Ever so slightly, push the door open. I got to the point where I could wake up with just the slightest creak of the door hinge. And I'd jump out of bed, hands in the air, I'm up, I'm up, I'm up. And sometimes she would still shoot me. With a huge grin on her face and a witch's cackle. So that's my complaint. She enjoyed shooting her son way too much with a water pistol. He was having too much fun. But in all honesty, mom was great. So much of who I am today is from her. She taught me how to love and to care and be a good person. And with those skills, I've made my life wonderful, and I'll always be grateful for that. She she also gave all of her children the tools to magically all get along. You know, we're all adults, and we're friends. And, and we go to the same social gatherings, and we do have disagreements, but we work it through. And that was mom. Like that's what mom gave us. Um, when I think of mom, uh, I think of food. I think of the production of food. I think of the amount of meals that woman made is just insane. Family of seven, she'd be making a meal, and there was always farm hands and friends and just like strays wandering in looking for a meal, and mom would feed them all, and there was always food left over, just even if they showed up last minute. It was really, really something incredible to see. I I used to love kind of freaking out my friends with mom's sort of quirkiness. I'll give you an example. It's happened many times. But I'd come home after school with some friends, and mom would be in the kitchen wearing an apron, but not your typical floral design apron you're imagining. I'm talking like an industrial grade butcher's apron, covered in blood, with an entire sheep carcass on the table in front of her, a bone saw in her hand. Oh, hi, David. How was school? Great, Mom. These are my friends. We'll just be outside. And then inevitably one of my friends would say something like, "What is your mother doing?" Obviously, she's making dinner. How does your mother make dinner? She doesn't start with a whole sheep carcass? That's weird. When I was a little kid, Mom was a devout Catholic. She did give it up later in life, God. But at the time of this next story, it's important to know that she was a church-going lady. So, Mom's, of course, from New Zealand originally, and she would go down to New Zealand every 2 or 3 years for like a long visit, and she would take some kids with her. And I was 11 years old, and Mom took me, and it was just me. So any sort of like one-on-one time, thanks, Oliver. uh, It's a beautiful song. Um, where was I? Yes, New Zealand. Mom's a Catholic, church-going lady. It's just Mom and I. It was a very memorable trip for me. Being in a large family, any one-on-one time with a parent was super precious. And there I had weeks on end with Mom. It was precious. It was very, a memorable trip. And I'll cherish the memories forever. What really stuck out about that trip, and I'll never forget, is the plane ride down there. And, it was the first time I remember being on a plane, so I'm a bit freaked out, but Mom's a seasoned traveler. It was very comforting to be with her as she's, working her way through the airport and everything else. Anyways, we, hours into the flight, and we hit some air turbulence. First time for me, but a little scary. Look up at Mom, and she's just calmly reading a book, bouncing away with the air turbulence. And I'm thinking, okay, Mom's not scared. I'm not scared. I'm not scared. The turbulence gets worse. A grown woman starts to scream on the plane. I'm like, okay, look up at Mom again. She's still calmly reading her book. Okay, Mom's cool, I'm cool. Mom's cool, I'm cool. The screaming continues. Mom, very quietly, calmly, closes her book, puts it down on her lap, looks down at me and says, "Damien, yeah, I think it's time to pray." It was terrifying. And it's not how you calm down an 11-year-old. Yeah, that's definitely. We realized it. Yeah. Anyway, no. Yeah. Mom was great, and she really wanted this to be a celebration. She, day before she died, she had said all her goodbyes, and she was done saying goodbye. She wanted to hear jokes. You know, she she was an incredible woman. So I'd like to finish my little bit with 3 cheers for Mom. How about that? Hip hip! Hip hip! Hip hip! Thank you. Who's next?
She's the best story. I don't know if I have the best story, Sophie. I don't really have any stories. I just have a general kind of feeling and everything. And so as a kid, you don't really know how good you have it, you know, and until much later on. And the gifts that I feel she gave me or all of us are the biggest ones, you know. It's she taught us about unquestionable, unconditional love, like unquestionable. Um, and it's one of the best gifts you can ever give anybody, your children. And it's pretty awesome. I didn't always think my mom was so awesome, though. I can remember being a teenager, thinking she was kind of irritating. um, you know, she got all kinds of crazy ideas and some pretty emotional things going on. But as later on in life, realizing that I'm a lot like her, and the tools she was the things she was teaching and the tools she was handing out were pretty darn handy, and I use them a lot now. um, this week we worked a bunch on the island. It was really awesome working with my siblings and everything like this. And I was reminded a bunch of times, like how much she liked and hated that place, but loved it really. And especially early mornings. Like a couple of the mornings, I went out really early, like just after the sun's up, and it is a gorgeous place. And I feel I saw what she saw, and she really enjoyed it there. And you know, like again, as a teenager, I thought she was a bit crazy, but now I found like those early mornings, I'm talking to bugs and thanking the earth, and and so I'm super thankful to the things she taught me and the examples she set. They are above all, they are the best. There, so yeah, short and sweet. Love her to death, miss her, and yeah, that's the end of my little bit.
Want to intermission? We can leave the mic up here. We can keep wondering about it.
Yeah. This will also be short and sweet. I, yesterday I was thinking I should write something down. I know I won't do well. Gotta write something down. I should write something down. And then I heard Mom's voice in my head saying, Matthew, don't shit on yourself. It's always one of her favorites. On yourself, saying you should do something 3 or 4 times. Just remember, don't do that. But so I didn't write anything down. But I wanted to say that what I do now for a living with the sheep, Mom taught me most of what I know about farming sheep, and I really appreciate that, the time that she put into that, and was teaching it to me at a time when I thought I was never going to use it. So it had to be, every lesson had to be taught 4 or 5 times, and it's come in real handy now. And she was an amazing resource even after she retired and didn't want so much to do with it, but she was someone I could always talk to about what I was in the middle of, which was really good for me. Over yeah, especially after Dad wasn't here anymore. It's really important to me. And I wanted to. Damon and Kayla both mentioned about how we're all adults that grew up farming together and get along even well enough to work together quite a bit, which is yeah, it's pretty rare actually. It's to grow up farming together and be able to still work together and get along as well as we do. And that takes work from all of us, but the lion's share of the credit um, is definitely Mom's. It's and not in an active making it happen kind of way. Like she taught us all how to share our feelings and when to and when it was helpful and when to give it a minute. and yeah, and I love her for it, and I miss her. That's all I got. Thanks, guys.
So I figured I'll just open for non-family, right? Because I'm from far away. I remember you, Damian, and Matthew when you were babies. And I was one of those people that would come by and learn about farming. I'm like the Bonham Carters and Cherry. That's who took me in as a bit of a stray and taught me some stuff. And it was your mom who first introduced me to mindfulness. She actually sent me on a stress management course when I had burned out of Toronto and all of that. And to this day, some of what I learned back then is really, really helpful to me. One of my best friends was a nanny for you all at one point on the island. Sabina? Sabina? Yeah, that's one of my best friends. Yes, and yes. So another thing that I'm really grateful for is I didn't get to give birth. And there was a little bit of sadness, or maybe sometimes a lot of sadness about that it didn't work out. And yet, you know, there's something motherful in me too. And your mom was really good about telling me that all the mothers need people like me in their lives that may not have children themselves, but that are supportive to others. And I can really truly that unconditional love and also acceptance and the not shooting on oneself, all of those. I'm really grateful. So yes, thank you. Yes, and it's a complete fluke that I'm up here at this time. So I was like, I don't even think the kids would recognize me, or barely. I kind of see, of course, both your parents are kind of visible in you. So, but I'm just really grateful to Erin. Thank you. And being a little out there is still very good. So, thank you.
I didn't script it either. I kind of sat back last night and just remembered a lot of things about my dear friend. Hi guys. I wish I had been able to say goodbye. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. Erin and I were very good friends. We met when Dominic was about 6 months old. And then I was introduced to the rest of the family. And every time I go to visit, I go to one room. Okay, I check with this guy, and I say to your mom, well, where is, another one? Oh, down there at the computer or whatever. So I'd go around and I'd just check with everybody. Erin and I had kind of an unusual friendship. We would check in with one another once every 2 or 3 months. So the last time I saw her was in October. And every time, I live in Trenton, every time she came to Trenton to go to the dentist or to pick up supplies, she'd drop in and always bring muffins or cookies or whatever it was she cooked that day or, a couple of days prior. We'd spend a couple of hours chatting about just stuff, and memories. And I think today, the most important thing for all of us, and especially those of us that have the honor to really know her well and to really receive that unconditional love that everybody else is talking about. I'm honored to be here. I'm sorry I'm late. I've been all over the county. I did this scenic route, and I know the county, but anyway, here I is. Thank you for coming today, and it's going to be wonderful to check with each and every one of you. By the way, I did marry one of these kids. I used to be a wedding officiant, so we have to check and see how things are going. Thank you. People do change over the years.
Marjorie would be happy to know that Vin and I are still happily married. She did a good job. I did write some stuff down. I don't know if it's going to help me at all. Probably not. Reading my own handwriting might slow me down a little bit. So that's you'll just have to bear with me a bit. But I'm going to start off with kind of a bit of Mom's humor that she would always take the opportunity to teach us all the different things that she did, that made us all the people we are. And a lot of them, my brothers and I as teenagers would come down into the kitchen in the morning, usually in our underwear, sometimes with a shirt on, sometimes not with a shirt on. And Mom wouldn't complain terribly, but she requested that maybe we come down with some more clothing on. And she would keep requesting, and we'd keep showing up in our underwear. So her answer to that one day was to strip down to her underwear. And let me tell you, we wore pants and a shirt every time. She was very effective in teaching. I'll miss Mom a lot because she was always really interested in your interest and always interested in your accomplishments. And she was essentially my biggest fan. I really enjoyed whenever I would finish a project and something she didn't even really, not that she didn't care about, but if I fixed a machine that couldn't be fixed, she was always really proud of that. And I really enjoyed telling her my successes, and she really enjoyed hearing it. And I'm gonna miss that quite a lot. Yeah, that's a big one for me. I'm also very grateful, as my siblings have touched on, that we can all work so well together. It's a lot of fun working with your siblings. We have a lot of fun together. We work really hard together, and it's amazing what we can do when we work together with our families. It's pretty amazing, and all the little kids running around, and it's just one big melting pot of us. Your kids are my kids are your kids, my project's your project, your project's my project, and it's a lot of fun getting it done together. I really enjoy that part. And then another one I'd like to touch on is Mom taught me the importance of self-care and not to put too much pressure on yourself. She even had a saying for it: don't shit all over yourself. I miss Mom a lot, and thank you very much.
Hi there. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Mark Ritchie, and my wife Jerry Allen and I farmed our sheep over on Amherst Island. And the reason we did that successfully was because we learned from Bob and Erin. And I spent 3 years working for him when I first came here in '89. And we were very good friends, and we would have lots of debates and discussions about sheep farming. And Erin was really a force in it. Like, she was a very powerful woman. As Jonathan said, as Matthew said, she was very strong on the livestock side of things, and Bob would be dreaming about, huge visions and collecting cars and all that. Erin would put him right back to basics and say, Bob, we've got to feed the sheep today, or Bob, they need drenching, whatever was necessary. And so what we learned from them enabled Cherry and I to have a very successful partnership for 30 years and run a successful farm. One memory that comes back to me is when Bob's mother died. Erin was cleaning up the house, and we were visiting with them shortly after that. And Erin said, I found a special gift to give to you, Mark, when I was cleaning things up. And she had a little smirk on her face. And I said, what's that? And so she pulled out this blue and cream colored bowl. And said, it's a porridge bowl. And she said, I thought you might like a porridge bowl. Have a good look at it. And I looked at it, and on it, it said, save your breath to cool your porridge. And so I think Erin was giving me a piece of advice that sometimes you think about what you're saying, don't let the conversation, listen to others. And on that note, I'll end.
Hi, I'm Helen Phillips. I live in Brighton, and we met Bob and Erin when she was pregnant with Caleb, and she was a Let's League leader. And we soon got pregnant with Elaine after that, and she was my mentor throughout child rearing my daughters, because she was a big advocate for breastfeeding. And it was at a time that it wasn't real popular, but Erin told me, just get out there, do it, and nobody likes it, too bad. Their problem, not yours. We spent lots of time together when the kids were growing up, going back and forth. And yeah, you could show up at her house unannounced, always food on the table, always welcome. And likewise, they could show up at our place unannounced, always welcome. Bob and Erin were wonderful friends. We're gonna miss them. I would really like to get to know their kids better. I know their names, but I don't know their faces, because I'm looking at them and thinking, oh, that's who that is. But yeah, Erin was an amazing woman, and I'm so glad to have and be able to call her my friend.
I'm going to do my very best to not be emotional. Well, I am emotional, but I'll let it better be. wrote this on Christmas Day. I sent a message to Kaylin saying Merry Christmas, and I had no idea what was going on for the family. And anyway, so I wrote this, but it was too late to read it to Erin myself, but I'm going to read it now. I've changed it a bit since what I sent to Kaylin because I thought of a couple other things. And anyway, it's dearest Erin, I want to express my sincere gratitude for you. Did you know that you were a major role model for me and my biggest support when I was living at the farm? You were the one who introduced me to La Leche League, so it's perfect that I'm speaking right after the person who's just up here. And you guided me when I was breastfeeding Sarah. We had so much fun when you came to help me in the sugar bush when I had never done it before. I'd never done it on my own. There was ice on the ground. I had no idea you could make a fire on ice, but boy, we did. It was great. And Sarah and Kaylin would breastfeed in between you and I, and Jessica collecting the sap and tending the fire. You introduced me to muscle checking, which was still seen as woo-woo back then. And I didn't understand it, but I trusted you completely. I always kept an open mind, and last fall when I helped care for a man, he did muscle checking whenever he wasn't sure what food to eat or what pill to take. And it brought back fond memories of Erin every single time. I am grateful to have been present for Jonathan's birth. Where are you sitting, Jonathan? Yeah. And Erin would know that I'd have been at every single birth of hers if I could have been. I am grateful for you coming to help me when Jordan was born because you knew how much I needed it. I really needed Erin at that time, and she was there. In fact, there's a picture up there of her holding Jordan. And our numerous trips to visit Bob and Erin and all the kids at Wapoos and on the island were so special to me. And I always wanted lots of kids. And I did have 3, and I'm so grateful for that. Where's my 3rd one? Where are you, Jordan? There you are. Okay. And so I lived somewhat vicariously through your mom, like I really did. I just loved it. Even the laundry chute, and then the 7 laundry baskets downstairs. When you went with your mom to New Zealand on your own, the rest of the kids were probably with me. I was either at the house or they were with me at our place. And I just loved it. So, and the ultimate joy, like I said, was having your children come and stay with me at the farm, with me and Sarah and Jessica, and sometimes David. And whenever she went to New Zealand, it was just, like I said, I just loved it. Between Erin's kids, so between you kids and mine, I had a larger family of children. Like I said, I absolutely loved it. The only thing I didn't have was the laundry chute. I never had one of those. So I want to say thank you, dear Erin. I've always held a special place in my heart for you, and I always will. I love you, Erin. Rest in peace, and I'll see you on the other side sometime.
Hey there, gang. Hello. I'm Dave. I'm not family. I met Damien my first year of college. I had no intention to speak today, so this might be a bit disjointed, but that might spread some joy. I never got to know Erin too well. I don't even think she was that big a fan of me. I was a bit of a rascal in my youth, and a heavy drinker. But I remember my first impression of her. I'd known Damien a few months, and he invited me and a group of our college boys. I met from college in Kingston out for a weekend. And we showed up a day early to do some work on the farm, earn our keep for the weekend and whatnot. And after a night of heavy drinking, I cooked breakfast for everybody in the morning, and then I cleaned the frying pan and my plate. And then I went to join all the boys drinking outside, and she said, "Well, what about the rest of the mess?" And I said, "Well, I cleaned my plate, my frying pan." She said, "Well, how does that help me?" I mean, I was brought up to take care of my side of the street, but it doesn't take too much to go just a bit beyond and, look after your neighbors. And even though I didn't get to know her, I had just the utmost respect and for such a powerful, amazing, incredible matriarch that imbued her children with such kindness, love, and hard work ethic that is just tangible and something to strive for. Thank you.
Anybody else?
I also was not expecting to talk today, and my bad. I get a little emotional. I was not expecting to do this. Sorry if I get a little emotional. I wasn't expecting to do this today. I don't really have many or any stories to frame at all, but I remember one time when I was like possibly like 9 or something. My mom was gone. I think with Mark or something to a vacation, and I stayed for a week with Ira at the Cooey House. And I don't really remember our stories of it. I discovered what a Shabbat my brother was. And I remember having this big old, like, I can't touch it. I don't remember what it was about. It was a pretty big one. And I remember she took me down to the farm down that road. She bought me a burger, and I got a picture down at the sunflower field. You guys know what I'm talking about. Sorry, I'm fucking first person to cry on the stage. But I wish I could have got some more stories. And I'm really grateful for how good of a mom she is, because my mom's the best mom ever. And it's her. She's the reason a lot of those emotions have passed down to me, and those skills of unconditional love. I really regret seeing her more. Just, I don't know, you don't realize what you have until it's gone. But sorry for making this all emotional, I'm crying. But I thought I had to come up here and at least say something, because it's my last option. But I'd like to thank you guys. I'm not sure, you guys probably know me, but I don't remember most of you. But I'd like to thank you all for coming down to my celebration of life. It means a lot to me. And yeah, that's it. Thank you.
I made some notes. My name is Linda Bell, and I used to be down at Wallace Marina. So I'm wearing purple because Erin loved purple. Erin loves scarves. I got Kleenex. I'm talking on cry today. But she loves scarves. She loved music. She loved purses. She loved music, so I'm wearing some music. She loved gardening, so I'm wearing my gardening clothes. She's my Kiwi friend. Well, I couldn't get a kiwi, so I've got a hummingbird. There's no hummingbirds in New Zealand, but she did like to sing, so I think that's the closest thing. New Zealand for Erin. And she liked hats, as I said. And we sang together many times, in choirs and outside of choirs, anywhere things would go. So I thought maybe I'd remind a few of you, because some of you will remember this. Oh, what a night, mid-July in 1987. The view from the cannery was like a piece of heaven. What's a wapoose? What a night. Oh, what a Sunday. Off to church in a little boat. The island camp was still afloat. Children sat at the priest's feet in a chapel surrounded by sheep. Singing with a Kiwi gal, it was so sweet. It started well, what a Sunday when friendship starts. On that Sunday, Erin's wee ones, Kaylin and Matthew, Bert and Annie were there too. A child sat on the priest's lap. What a Sunday when new friends meet. Oh, what a gal. She asked if I knew therapeutic touch. Yes, I said very much. I have a session every week. We were hooked faster than an eye could blink. What a lady, what a gal. We attended workshops on personal growth, on healing, on energy. We practiced on one another. We traveled for fun, and we traveled on spiritual journeys. We drove to Prince Edward Island in my sports car. We drove to the Omega Institute in upstate New York to study with Pema Chodron, a Buddhist nun. We did that year after year. One time we went on from there to Washington, D.C. to the Festival of Homiletics. My sister's an Anglican priest. I didn't know what the Festival of Homiletics was, but we were meeting her there. And this is the gathering of preachers from all denominations, and the top preachers in the U.S. speak at this conference, and man, it was awesome. Richard Rohr, a Catholic priest, a mystic, I think he was the only Catholic in the room, which was good because I think maybe Erin and I were the only Catholics recovering in the room too. While we were there, we were part of a silent candle march on the White House when Trump was there. And we were petitioning for honesty and integrity. The vigil was led by the American bishop who had officiated at Meghan and Harry's wedding in England. He flew to Washington directly from London. Thousands of voices sang "This Little Light of Mine" and held candles. And then there was silence. Now there's a song for the world, "This Little Light of Mine." We were in Peru, and a lady named Berna, a shaman from the Andes, performed a sacred ceremony with Erin and myself. And at this time, she said to Erin, "When you get back to Canada, you need a picture taken of your brain." We kept breathing. Said, "Yes, of course." We got back to Canada, and we went together, and she had a brain scan. She had a picture taken of her head. This is when it showed that there was a growth, which they called an inflammation, partially wrapped around an artery at her brainstem. The neurosurgeon said he thought it was Erin-Hunchester disease. Liz, Matthew's wife, looked it up. There were 800 people in the world with something called Erin-Hunchester's disease. There was one report that suggested chemotherapy. Now, I don't know what she said to the family, but she said to me, "I've never had any chemotherapy." A 4-year journey began. We walked together, we cried together, we laughed together. We drove long distances together. We'd stop and have a drink. Sometimes we'd get something to eat. We got a favorite hangout in Kingston near the hospital. We went to many appointments. Erin was very suspicious of doctors. She followed the medical referrals. She did what they suggested. And she also worked with holistic healers and naturopaths. She bought every book written by Anthony Williams and drank celery juice every morning for years. She watched what she ate. We looked up everything we could on inflammation. I've got more stickers named Erin in my Anthony Williams books because, of course, I had to buy them too. After 1 year, a second brain scan revealed that the growth had grown. If it were to continue, she would become paralyzed. The doctors were still doing test after test and referral after referral because this disease also affects all sorts of organs in the body. And Erin's body was being assaulted. But they didn't know what to do. They didn't know what to do. So we decided to take matters into our own hand. I'm not sure if the family knows this or not. But we contacted our guide, Edgar, who's a guide in the Amazon River in Peru. Because being in Peru in the Amazon was part of the spiritual journey when we'd been in the Andes. So we sent him a photo of Erin and said, please print a copy. Please print a copy. Because a shaman will not look at a picture on a phone. And we were going to a shaman. And we asked the shaman, we said, Edgar, we said, please go and find the shaman and ask him if he would be able to do distance healing on Erin while she stays in Canada. A big, big ask. A big ask. The reply was he would have to do a ceremony to find out if he could reach Erin, determine her problem, and if he could help her. Segundo did an ayahuasca ceremony with our friend Edgar present. They sent us photos of them preparing the ayahuasca in their village, and they sent this answer. Yes, Segundo could see her. She's very ill. It is very serious. It will be very difficult, but he can help her. He would agree to help her, but he would need to close his clinic to all of his patients and work on her alone. We agreed to pay him, and he started. We bought his time. Edgar gave us updates, and we updated Edgar, who would travel to the jungle. He would update Segundo. And then messages would come back and forth for 7 months. In the meantime, Erin and I are going back and forth to Kingston for tests and referrals and follow-ups, and back and forth to the general hospital here, and back and forth to Trenton. And we're going for more tests and more referrals. When Erin had her stroke, Segundo was informed and continuously updated on her progress. COVID was rampant, and visitors were restricted to the hospital. The family decided that Damien and I would be the designated visitors. For 2 weeks, we were with her every day. She was able to say yes and no. She moved from the emergency department to the stroke department. She was finally able to speak a little bit and finally able to eat. Well, I don't know how many people here have been in the hospital, but it's not the greatest food in the world. So I would make her soup and soft food and blended fruit that at least was edible. She progressed slowly. We walked the floor together to build her strength, first with a walker, then only with an IV drip pole. Her speech was improving. Then she got an infection and boom, down she went, back to the medical unit. She bounced back and right back up to the stroke unit. And I was going on holiday, and she was able to stand at the hospital window and wave at Rick Fisher's yacht as we sailed by, going up the Prince Severn River. At Erin's next follow-up and brain scan, the growth in her head had not grown. We're still doing tests and follow-up with the doctors here in Canada. The following fall, 2024, she had another brain scan. She was becoming more frail, and in October, it was time to call upon her sons and daughters to help with the medical care. We agreed it was time. She hadn't wanted to bother them with all of her appointments before that. They were busy. They were working. They had family. But this was the time, and the Flegel family was awesome. They jumped right in, took over, and they also remembered to include me. We never did get the results of the brain scan. Her last medical referral arranged for her to go to Kingston to start chemo. Christmas week, December 2024. I hadn't heard what happened at the hospital that week. I've been doing a spiritual retreat online. So I was in the zone all week. I was praying for Erin all week. And on the Friday, I received a call from Kaylin saying that her mother was in the ICU, had been there all week and wasn't going home. So I was ready. The next morning, my phone rang. Caller ID said it was Erin Rowland. I held my breath and answered. It was Erin, bright and lively as ever. I said, Mary, Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, and the little donkey too. What the hell are you doing calling me? You could have knocked me over with a feather. We laughed and we laughed and we laughed. And we talked. She was in a good place. Family was around her. She didn't need me to come to her. We sent our love to one another. We gave thanks for our times together. And we each went on our way. Oh, what a night. A sacred time in 2023. Our dearest Erin left you and me. What a lady, what a night.
Oh, this is, yeah, I'm not used to these things at all. So. I'm Nancy. I'm Erin's sister-in-law, Bob's middle sister. And I've known Erin for, I don't know how many years, it's been terrible past. But came in smiling for my family's life, Bob. And she arrived from New Zealand, and I was a teenager at the time, so it's a long time ago. And she was a sister to me. She wasn't, I shouldn't say just a sister-in-law, because lots of times sisters-in-law are great too, but she was a real sister to me. And she always had, as you could tell from the previous job, she always had a somewhat unconventional take on almost everything. She could always be sort of guaranteed to give you a perspective that you might not have considered before. And I found that incredibly valuable as I got older. I watched her raise her kids. She did a fabulous job with her kids, she really did. And Bob as well. And I won't keep you long, except to say that I continue to miss your mom, Erin, and Bob, more than I can say. The two of them were great, great friends as well as family. When I was going through tough times, they were always there, always, and always with a kind of a reassuring, low-key response. You know, I'd be losing my mind, hair on fire, oh my God. And they'd be like, ah, it's all right. It's all right. It's fine. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. So again, love the both of them like crazy. Still can't believe you're gone. Like I still can't believe that. But yeah, I miss them like crazy. And sorry I'm a little late. Terrible crowd.
Hello, everyone. There's a lot of people here. I'm talking with crowds, but I want to say, Erin, she was an amazing woman. Lucky to have met her. And she raised 5 wonderful children, some of the best people I know. She taught them a lot, and I'm lucky enough to be learning those lessons through them. Yeah. I don't know what else to say.
Hi everyone, I'm Susan Housen, and I've been sailing out of Wapoos for over 30 years. So I've known the family in many ways for over 30 years, and I'm very honored to now live here in the county. I should have bought 30 years ago, but you know, as I was driving down the road today, go out and you'll see cars upon cars upon cars down the street. That says something about the impact that this beautiful woman has had on each and every one of us. So I invite you to turn to the person next to you and say, thank you, Erin. I'm so grateful. Yeah. And one of my fondest memories, because being at the marina, is having the sheep day, we called it, when the sheep came from the farm across the street, down the little alleyway, and over to the, whatever that was, boat type of thing to put them on to take them to the island. And how much fun that was, because Erin and everybody invited everybody to join in the fun. So she was, as you heard, someone who was about community, was about unconditional love, and was about accepting yourself as well as others for your authenticity and theirs. So my request is that you keep taking that piece of who Erin is with you, wherever you go, whether you live in the county, whether you live in Toronto, whether you live in New Zealand, or anywhere else around the world. Because our world needs more of Erin now more than ever. Thank you.
Hey everybody, also did not plan on standing up today and we were in shambles and I thought I was gonna be, so sorry for everything in advance, that's awesome. My name is Laura and for like 12 or 13, 14 years I lived a kilometer up the road from the Flegels and my household was like the opposite. I was an only child and my house was not very welcoming and I'm like only now seeing what a lasting impact this person made on my life, I think. Going down to Mass and seeing the freedom that those kids had, walking up the front steps and seeing like the eggs sitting out in a bucket and like a leg of lamb that's ready for the dogs to eat that are not pets, dogs, and chickens and hay and four-wheelers. And like one summer, Matt's like 15 or 16 and he feels he's outgrown the house. So Erin says, all right, you want to live above the garage? Like, build it. And there's Matt and Liz, like, I come up, like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, it's tongue and groove, ceiling. Oh my God, how did you learn to do that? He goes, I don't know. And we partied up there, and there was a drum set, and I think there was a band for about a month. You come down the road, and like 7 punks were like shaving their heads into mohawks in the driveway, and you're like, yeah, that happens here. And I remember being on the bus. God, I must have been new to Wapu, so I was probably maybe 8 or 9 years old. I don't know, Kayla, how old you are, but I think you're probably a senior. And I remember my life was very small. And I remember turning around on the back of the bus, like, oh, who's the back of the bus? And there is this woman with all of this calm confidence I had never seen in my life. And her hair is, I think at this point, like buzz cut, but dots. And I was like, oh my God, in what house does she live that this is welcome? And when I got accidentally knocked up in university in 2011 and peed on a stick between classes going, no, not me. And came home with my boyfriend with grass stains on my knees going, I'm so sorry, I don't know what we're gonna do. And my husband said, I think we can do it. And I did not know what it looked like to be a stable household. It was Erin. It was Erin, and I don't know how many hours I actually spent with her, but she was the person who I just like closed my eyes and would be like, what would she do? What would she say? How would she react? And I don't know, but I'm really grateful that y'all lived down the road, and then I'm here today, so many years later, and I love you guys so much.
Hi, everybody. I'm Karen. I didn't plan to come up, but I think Erin clearly is the personification of, you don't remember necessarily what a person says, but you certainly remember how they made you feel. I'm the younger sister, and we grew up in a really big family, and a lot of the values that she shared and that she's grown here, it started in New Zealand, and we love Erin. And even though she had her family here, we miss her. I have poems to read out. You're not going to hear them. Erin was my playmate we actually became friends when I was in my young 30s and she was in her older 30s. But we had our youngest babies on the same day. I've got Lydia here, we've got Dominic here. They're our babies. So she travelled to New Zealand, she made a commitment. By golly, she was a great daughter. She was, mum and dad just loved Erin. And she made a commitment to mum and dad that when they're too lazy, she'd go home to New Zealand every year. And she did. And what a commitment from a daughter to her parents. Because nobody knows what your number when it's up, but she did, and she travelled all that distance. And I don't think she particularly liked flying, but she just did it anyway. But it was like Christmas for us when she came home. She was the present. We loved it. And just like for Laura, she was a huge encouragement for me because I kind of got it wrong so many which ways, and probably a little bit darker sheep of the family in many ways. But Erin was always so loving and accepting, and I found my feet through her encouragement. So, Kushla, older sister in Perth, sends her love and misses her greatly. Our brothers, our sister Donna, Patrick, Damien, and Sean, we're all in New Zealand and we miss her. I've come representing them, and I'm just so pleased to be here. So thank you for your hospitality.
Here, is there anyone else that wants to say something? Why don't we take a break? Let's just keep, there's a lot of food over there to eat, socialize and stuff. But if you're thinking of something to say and you're just having cold feet right now, change your mind later. Just come on up and turn the mic on, okay? But no, unless somebody else. Okay, all right. Again, thank you so much, everybody. Oh.